Hello, welcome back to part 2 of my Time Agent ranking list. We will now continue with number 14. Number 14 is One Against an Army. And I forgot to say that Redemption Mortis was Series 2, Episode 3. Okay, One Against an Army is probably my least favourite from Series 3. This is Episode 4. This one, out of all the episodes of Series 3, pretty much feels like filler. Like with Mortis Code, there will be episodes of a multi-part story that are filler in Series 3. It is this one. Quite a bit of it does. There are quite a few moments across each episode that feel like filler, but for an episode that feels most fillery out of all of them, it is Episode 4. In this episode, Liam stops Mortis from going into the Vision X tower. He then finds out that the contact sold out the Time Agency for money, and then found out that he'd been tricked. So Liam gets really pissed off with him. I would say it wasn't completely his fault. I mean, he was selling them out, but he was tricked as well. But I could understand Liam being really annoyed. And maybe he could have tried to get the contact not to kill himself. Because he just wouldn't stop you. But maybe he could have said, you know, maybe you could find a way of redeeming yourself. Maybe you could die a hero or something. I don't know. I just would have liked to see the contact redeemed himself a little bit. I mean, yeah, it could be unforgivable, but what he did. But he has been trying to help stop it, so he could have done something that could have redeemed himself, or at least redeemed himself a little bit. Maybe dying a hero. But no, it's just a plain old suicide. And then this reporter called Scarlet Brook enters the picture, and making very little impact of the overall story, apart from being Mortis's companion, so to speak, throughout the rest of the series. And I would say possible love interest, but apart from that one kiss in the last episode, probably not. Especially as he was pretty much knocked out for the rest of this one after being attacked by a flower alien, and the next episode they don't really do much. They're just hiding under a bridge, talking. Really, the most they do with each other is, well, about after he rescues her here, and then in the 6th episode, before she runs off. But I will say that it is quite funny of him actually talking to her, and they have some good moments. Meanwhile, Robin and Alec Alec, his friend, they turn up in Cardiff and find that Robin's old friend, teammate, and love interest, now girlfriend, Zoe, survives the attack on the base, at the Cardiff base, and they reunite. Yay! And Liam made them go all the way to Cardiff, even when they were only within a short few miles of each other, so that they could be out of the way. Makes sense. Does make sense, but now they've got to go all the way back now. So maybe Liam could have sent them to, I don't know, London or something. I mean, Cardiff makes sense, because that's where he used to go, but come on, man, you could have sent them out the way, but not to be too far away so they could return to the action. It does take them about 2 or 3 days overall to get there and back again by foot, no train or car, although maybe they did take the train on the way back. But yeah, and then Liam goes in to confront the executive at the end. And that's how he gets captured for the events of the next episode, where he's captured and tortured, so to speak. So yeah, and to be honest, this one, yeah, like I said, this one is very filler. The most that actually happens story-wise is Liam stopping Mortis going into the building, finding out the contact betrayed them, and then going in to get captured for the next one. Whilst Robin then meets up with his girlfriend again. So, yeah, not really much is there. Is this the shortest one? I think it might be the shortest one, or maybe that's the next one. Yeah, I think the next one's the shortest one. This one's longer. Very strange. Number 13, we're nearly halfway. We are on to Memoirs of the Lost. the second special of the 2009 ones, the 3 2009 ones, and to be honest, this had been my least favourite, but after the rewatches, I thought this story was better than the Earth's Guardians ones, and that's why this one's a bit higher now. The story is of Liam, Dan, and Ben are being attacked by these aliens, which we later discover are called the Venators. Remember those? I'm sure you've remembered about those from another episode I mentioned they were in. And they have to find out why these Venators are trying to kill them. It's eventually revealed that it's because of Ben killing one of them in cold blood. But then it's later revealed it was a trick. They just wanted to have their ship fixed, and then they would destroy the Earth. The ship was a crash landed according to Dan, who saw it, but he thought it was a plane. Danny was apparently with both characters at the same time, although you don't really see it that much with Ben's one. And actually, the memory of Danny actually helps remember that, as well as with Liam remembering something about the Venators that Danny found out. So it's an interesting story, and the use of Danny is coming back to help them whilst not being there is good. And I suppose on a rewatch it was better as a character study for Ben, as it would really challenge and change his character, at least until the next episode where he was killed off. Yeah, I think this episode came a few episodes too late. This one was the big game changer for Ben. It was the one where it made him look like, okay, you were right, but not necessarily, but you could have been wrong. It was not necessarily shoot first, ask questions later. Maybe you could capture it or stuff. It was kind of like a wake-up call, basically. It was like, okay, maybe I got to be not so trigger happy, as Liam puts it. He's a bit trigger happy, and maybe, and the episode was like making him think he should change to be a bit better, especially. But it also shows he has the heart. He's human, because he does feel guilty about it later on. The only problem is, I suppose it came a little bit too late. I think this one would have been better as a Series 1 episode, because Ben literally dies in the next one, so it's basically it's either pointless or not very effective. Or if there was more specials, or if this was another series. But it does work, but could have been better if it was an earlier episode, or if Ben was in more afterwards, as opposed to just one. The Venators were also pretty good. I think they replaced the Flower Aliens as the main villains for Series 4, but we never got to see that. Only from the trailers and a clip or two. But they are pretty good villains, and they have a war with the Time Agency in the far future in Series 3, so something interesting there. Oh my god, the next episode, I'm actually surprised at my choice of the next one. No, I'm not. Number 12. Number 12, this might be a surprising one to people, at least of the fans of the show. Number 12 is Series 2, Episode 6, Best Kept Secret. Okay, the series finale of Series 2, and probably the weakest of the three. Because, well, pretty much similar with how Series 3 turned out. Because the executive, pretty much how it was similar to happened in Judgement Day. With Judgement Day, the executive's there for about half the episode and then disappears. But he had 5 other episodes beforehand, well, 4 plus an appearance at the end of the first one, to build up his character. And then when the episode focused on the Flower Alien, who'd only just appeared at the end of the previous one, that was okay. But with Best Kept Secret the year before, well, 2 years before in the case of Judgement Day, Katrina Mills had only just appeared at the end of episode 5. And then half the episode, or just over, was about her and her plan and her working with the Zachatrons. Then Liam kills her, and then it just moves on to the Zachatrons like that. we had half an episode with our main villain of Series 2, and that's it. We've only had, this including her appearance at the end of episode 5, we only have half an episode with her. That's the problem with this episode. Katrina's only in half the episode. I think the story would have worked better if either she was in more of the episode, or more episodes of the series, like the executive in the third one. But like I said, that one works because he had 4 other episodes beforehand to build up his character and show how much of a villain he was, especially in the 5th episode. And then they had the battles with him in the first half of episode 6 of that episode of Series 3 in Judgement Day. And that was also a longer episode as well, to showcase that. And then they can move on to the flower alien once he escaped, who'd only just been there since the end of the last one. In a similar case to Katrina, who's only just been here since the end of the previous one, at the end of Nightmare Forest. What else? The Zachatrons have made appearances twice before. But once soon as we get past the halfway mark, Katrina is killed off, and then we move on to the Zachatrons. But Katrina didn't get but we didn't get enough time to build up the character as much as we did with the executive in Series 3. Which I think, as this one came before Series 3, then I guess that they learned from their mistakes. And whilst they did do a copy and paste, it was kind of a split way. A character they were getting rid of halfway through the episode actually had enough time to develop before he ran off and moved over to someone else who hadn't had that much time to develop, so it's okay for him to get attention now, instead of a character who's only had a little bit of a development, and now she's dead, there's not much, we've only had a little bit of time with her, and now we're focusing on a character who appeared previously, and is a species who's appeared twice in the series. So, that's my big problem with Best Kept Secret. The main villain is killed off too soon. I would have preferred it if it was later, maybe 3/4 of the way. At least the Zachatron Oracle's good. There's not much Robin, but that's not really a complaint. That's although actually maybe it is because Robin after Redemption of Mortis doesn't really do that much in Series 2. Series 2 Part 2, Robin is pretty much useless. He is absent from most of musical. He's absent from most of this, besides a few talky scenes in both, and he has a few scenes in Nightmare Forest, but doesn't really do much. So he's pretty much useless in Series 2 Part 2. He's better in Series 2 Part 1 and in Series 3. I think the only reason he wasn't killed off in this episode is because I think the reason he wasn't doing much was because they wanted him in Series 3, but they didn't want to, and they wanted to get Mortis to do a bit more as he's joined, and Dan before he died. And maybe they were going to kill off Robin, but then actually we'll have him in this Series 3 instead of Dan or someone. Dan's death was pretty well handled, although there's some of the editing of the shots could have been a little bit done a bit better, but it's okay. It's a good death scene. It's quite emotional. I'm not sure what happened with the dubbing when it gets to Liam's bit, that is. Where Dan's being thrown into the portal. Liam seems to have been dubbed and it's poorly done, sadly. Yeah, for all the production values they have on this episode, the dubbing... boy. But in the end, Best Kept Secret is a decent finale. It's not one of the strongest episodes of Series 2, unlike the other 2 finales of their seasons, but it's certainly a great adventure. It's just a shame about the fact the main villain was only in half the episode. I'm not going to get over this. Half the episode. Oh well. And another thing I'll say before we wrap up on this episode is the fact that we honestly didn't really get that much development of the character's history beforehand. Apparently, Katrina betrayed Liam and Mortis, shot Liam. She was his girlfriend beforehand. For some reason, we don't really see this. We don't see why. I suppose one possibility is that she felt betrayed, that Liam left her and her daughter, their daughter, I should say, behind after abandoning Mortis in the forest. agents and abandoning them. But then he went back. He would come back for them. But by that time, Mortis and Katrina would be captured, and Elizabeth has been sent back in time to Earth. Has been sent away, possibly back in time to a few years before everybody else came back. And because I've seen her in Series 4, maybe. I don't know. It would have been interesting. And she'd been there all that time, like the Master in Series 3 of Doctor Who. And so, I don't know, I'm just theorising that Katrina maybe was annoyed that Liam abandoned her and Elizabeth. Or maybe they were captured and made to believe that Liam was the villain. But Mortis broke through the mind processing only to then get pissed off with Liam whilst in the code. Or maybe some of that mind-altering thing was still there. Hence why he's bad in Series 1. But I don't know. There are things that are left up for interpretation, and then there's times where you like interpreting things, but you really want that answer more definitely. It's not like the Doctor Who question, where, that would ruin the mystery. We actually want to know what's happened in the time agency back then. And Series 3, whilst they go into a bit more detail, doesn't really do much. I think really what we need is an episode or two focused on the history of the time agency, a prequel story. But that's probably never going to happen. That's going to happen less than having Series 4 or any other episode another series taking place. We'll just have to deal with what we do and leave it up to interpretation, as well as trying to tie it into what's been said and shown. Number 11. Number 11 is Series 1, Episode 4, The Lone Trip. Before we carry on, I'd just like to apologise for any noise outside because someone's chopping up trees. I think. Or bushes or something. Probably dead ones. I've got the light on because it's quite late now. Well, not terribly late, but nearly 10 to 4 in the afternoon. But as you could probably tell, it's getting a bit darker now. Anyway, on to the Lone Troop now. This is the 4th episode of Series 1. I don't think we've got many of Series 1 left to talk about, do we? No. And yet, it's a pretty good story. Liam's gone for this one because he's on holiday. So Ben, Dan and Danny have to just carry on doing as normal, like in Earth's Guardians they do. Well, not Danny, obviously. But they come up against this creature known as a Cyber Caillou, which is a mix of the Cybermen and the Caillou from Jamie Carroll's The 11th Regeneration series. And they have to stop this Lone Troop Cyber Caillou from bringing back all the others, because apparently they were destroyed, but if there's only one left, that means that it can bring back the others. According to Liam in a video message, the Lone Troop is always the most dangerous. And so the agents have to try and stop it from finding some sort of code where it can bring back the other ones, and have to prevent it from bringing back its comrades, so to speak. And yeah, this is a pretty great episode. Ben takes centre stage. Each of the other 3 characters besides Liam, the 3 agents, they have it's great seeing them in action, but Ben in particular, we see him taking command, as he was pretty much second in command beforehand. And his death is actually quite surprising. Well, if you watch it for a first time without spoilers, of course, it can be a bit of a surprise, especially as it's episode 4 out of 6. Although, to be honest, if it was 2 or 3, you probably would be surprised, unless it's a character they would kill off quickly. But, yeah, a bit of a surprise. If you've not watched it before, and you've not been spoiled. But it's a pretty good episode, and it's done effectively. It's probably the most... Ben's deaths are probably the best handled. With Danny's, it was pretty much breezed over. With Dan's, it was overplayed a little bit. So I think Ben's death is the best handled in both times. More so here, but he would be coming back. So and Bob's, that was pretty good handled as well. And a couple of the others, but main ones, members of the branch, which is so yeah, Lone Troop is a pretty good episode, and you get to see the effect of a member's death on the agents at the end, particularly on Liam when he comes back. But Dan doesn't care yet. Danny's been a bit affected though. And now we wrap up Series 1 with number 10, Dark Revelations. Yeah, I was hoping to get a Series 1 episode in the top 10, and Dark Revelations is, by the looks of things, the best episode of Series 1. The sixth and final episode, Lone Trapeze was episode 4, by the way. Don't know if I keep forgetting to say so. The episodes of the series. But, yeah, Dark Revelations, it's very, very good. It's got, the stakes are a bit high now, now that Mortis is out, and now he's back, he's trying to assassinate each member of the team for some reason, so he can get to Liam, I suppose. Mortis, some of his motivations make sense. I mean, he's pissed off that Liam abandoned him, but everything else he does is questionable. Why is he killing off the other members of the team? How did he get to that alternative universe if he just come out of the Mortis Code in our universe? Making the call to the house, I'd probably understand. Or if he managed to get to there before he got to our universe, and that was that was at the time of just after the events of Meta World happened. In that case, did that message only come through when he got through? I don't know. Why did the Flower Aliens want to help him? Only why did the Flower Aliens want to help him? And then he betrays them, obviously. But why do they want to help him? Why is everyone back trying to fight Liam? Oh yeah. The episode is good in providing us with an antagonist, a powerful one, but the motivations was apart from for killing Liam, don't make sense. And why does everyone go into a big battle at the end? It's cool, it's a really good battle, it's probably one of their best ones. But it doesn't make sense. Why are the Flower Aliens and the robot flies trying to stop Liam getting to the TARDIS? Mortis, it actually helps them get to the TARDIS. His motivations make sense. I think I mentioned this in the either in the vlog or the Series 1 ranking, but everybody else's, the other villains that is, they don't make sense. Why are they doing this? And we don't get to find out who the big bad was, who's the thing that we're coming from, that the Flower Alien leader mentioned, and the big masters of the chainsaw. We don't find them out. Like I said, it could be the executive, could be Katrina, could be Mortis, but it's never stated it's any of those or anybody else. I'm going to assume it's the executive, at least for the chainsaws, and maybe the Flower Alien was referring to his race and the robotic flies coming to stop them. Or the Zachatrons, maybe even. The Zachatrons are coming back. I don't know. It just didn't make much sense. But Series 1, pretty much, despite pretty much trying to be a kind of a Torchwoody series, there was some plot holes in the series that tried to develop a series arc. I think the series arc doesn't work as well as maybe in 2 or 3, particularly in the third one. Series 3 it works really well, but Series 1, the story arc doesn't really work as well as later seasons, probably because their big bad is Agent Mortis, and they were actually they were probably setting him up, but they looked like they were setting somebody else up as well. So, I don't know, but Dark Revelations is a very good story anyway, despite having some villain motivations not included. But still, also the damn clones. Always a good sign. Okay, number 9. Number 9 is Point of No Return. Now, Point of No Return, like Army of Ghosts, in fact, quite a lot of Series 3, they take their time setting stuff up, although later episodes have a pretty good payoff as well, before we get to the big payoffs. This one is pretty much mostly set up, and that's pretty much the entire episode. It's building up, but it does it pretty good. It does a pretty good way of building up. Unlike the Mortis Code, which is pretty much set up plus filler, this one is setting up with a bit of filler. As the start of the episode, though, it isn't really got that much filler. That's more later on, as mentioned with Army of Ghosts. But it does a pretty good job of setting up the characters where they are now, although it doesn't explain too much about the characters in the past couple of months. What's been going on? Why are they now on the run? Number one most wanted criminals in the country, and how come the actions moved to Darkchester? I'm not sure, but the story starting the new week, I presume it's a Sunday because the episode 6 is on a Friday. So, well, apart from maybe the last scene, which must be on a Saturday. Last scenes, which are on the next day, Saturday. So I'm guessing this is Sunday beforehand. So obviously it's a Sunday, busy Sunday, by the way. But it's odd. They are building it up. And, yeah, Liam gets in contact with Colonel Radcliffe Natesmith. Then he calls Robin, who gets him in contact with the contact. And then he discovers that Jerry Smith is Captain Tobias. Meanwhile, Mortis finds Robin's brother, who is masquerading as he's been given the identity of somebody else, made up identity to protect him. And it's revealed that he was the one who invented the vortex manipulator and sells it onto Vision X. It's then revealed that someone has planted explosives in Jackson Turner's work. That's Robin's brother. Dr. Necratic was his cover name, I should say. Alternative name. Vision X apparently has placed explosives in the biotech facility that he was working at, and now he's wanted as well. Ouch. And then Mortis heads over to meet Robin at Unit HQ. As we see in the next episode, he locks Jackson in a public toilet. How no one finds him until Friday is anyone's guess. And it's strange that Captain Tobias says we've got 5 days to stop Vision X later on, and yet Liam is surprised in the next episodes to discover the authorities are working for Vision X. Sorry, the assassin. The what's their name? Informant in the Contact's gang who's working for the authorities. They're working for Vision X. Liam's actually quite surprised at that. And yet Tobias said 5 days to stop Vision X, so whether he was referring to them as a whole or to the time travel thing, I don't know. But it's a good story, I suppose, but like I said, it's mostly set up. But it has some really good moments, and, you know, I prefer this setup over the Mortis Code, even though it's pretty much nearly... Mortis Code was 12 minutes, this is 39, so it's nearly 4 times as long. No, that would be 40. 24 is... hang on. 48. Okay, it's just over 3 times as long. Yeah, that's 36. So it's just over 3 times as long as the Mortis Code, and yet it's actually the better setup. But then again, whilst it does take its time in some places, it also has some great action moments near the end. Another thing I must mention, the executive has Liam right where he wants him, because the flower alien attacks Tobias, and Liam sees the executive with one of the flower aliens. They kidnap Tobias, and they just leave Liam there. Part of the plan? Well, in the next episode, the executive gets really pissed off that the fact Liam hasn't been captured yet, when he was right there when he could have taken him. And he knew about him, I would presume, because he's the one who knows about Liam being on Gallifreyan soil. So, and why is he after them anyway? Well, Liam, I suppose he'd want to grab him for his, for travelling to Gallifrey, but why is he after Mortis as well? Does he just want to get rid of them because they're surviving time agents? Like the ones in the Contacts gang, in which case why is he not after this? He doesn't know about them. Well, who exactly they are. I think he probably knows about the gang, but he probably doesn't know who's in the gang. Well, apart from maybe the Contacts. There is some... It's not as bad as the Series 1 plot holes, but still not making complete sense. And Time Agents are serious series with some comedy. Anyway, moving on. Number 8. Number 8 is The Fallen Hero. With this one, this one's the third and final special, and it's probably the best one of all of them. We see that the Zachatrons are attempting to invade Earth again. This time they're trying to get some sort of weapon, similar or a similar one to in Best Kept Secrets that they later tried to do. Well, if you don't succeed the first time, try again. Although it was described a little bit differently in the next episode, next appearance. So, in this one, Liam attempts to stop them, but they pretty much knock him out, so he can't warn his team, and then, well, because basically declared war on them. And the next day, Liam's been knocked out, but he's soon everything's coming back to him, and he has to go and save his team, who are now at war with the Zachatrons. Meanwhile, Bob the Flower Alien is being ambushed by his own kind for joining the team. Except when he get the little problem with that one there. Whilst it was a cool scene seeing them threatening him earlier when he was walking through the forest, when they capture him later on and say, "You have not listened to us," guys, you do realise you took him. He was on the street and you just grabbed him off and brought him back to your base, and then you pretty much just tried to kill him. I mean, what the hell? Well, you said if he came back through the forest, they would kill him. You would kill him. And he wasn't going through the forest. He went past the entrance, and yet you just grabbed him and just said, "You have not listened to us. Now we're going to kill you." You dragged him off the street. God's sake. Yeah, some of these characters are so stupid. However, the battle is really good, and it's got some really good moments. Oh, and also going back to that woods scene, Dan rescues Bob, and it's a very good moment for Dan. And yeah, the battle bits are great, and nice little moment when Dan gives Ben the key, and then that he found, and then when Ben is killed, the Zachatrons have pretty much destroyed any chance of receiving their weapon they wanted. Yup. Stupidity. Told you. And the episode does end quite a little bit abruptly. I mean, Ben's death, whilst handled okay, isn't not as well as in Lone Troop, obviously. But then, whilst there is a good speech from Liam at the end, the one beforehand, whilst he does try hard, it sounds okay. It's, I don't know, I think it's just a little bit off. I like it, but it sounds a little bit off. The one at the very end is much better. But still, it's a very good episode. And some really cool action and great stuff. So that's it from part 2. Next time, part 3, the final 7.